Started swinging to save our marriage, 3 years later, and I'm miserable. Background: my wife, 35/F, and I, 33/M, have been together for 10 years and have 5 kids together. We started out as a strictly monogamous relationship, but as time went on she made passing comments indicating she would be interested in an open relationship and each of us having the freedom to play with others. In hindsight, I don't think I realized how serious she was about wanting to do that. About 3 years ago, I noticed she began showing some telltale signs that something was going on, always putting her phone face down, turning away from me when texting, etc. Long story short, there was a guy at work she started hardcore flirting with and was trying to hide it. She even had his contact saved in her phone under a different name, hoping I wouldn't notice. I knew something was up and called her out on it, and she came clean but insisted it was just flirting and nothing had ever happened, which I believe her on. A few weeks later, she wrote me a letter telling me she was leaving me. Not because of this guy specifically, but because she was worried she would cheat on me eventually, as she always has had a desire for variety. She assured me it had nothing to do with me or enjoying sex with me. We still were having amazing sex quite often. For her, it made more sense to end the marriage instead of hurting me over and over by cheating. I respected her approach at this point, as she obviously did care enough to tell me her true feelings. This woman is the love of my life and the mother of my children, and I really wanted to save our marriage. On a whim, I suggested the open marriage as long as we could agree on a set of rules and stayed completely honest with each other. She agreed and we tore the letter up. In my mind, it's not what I wanted, but I thought we should at least give it a shot. Swinging initially. After writing down the rules we agreed on, see rules below, we started by going to a few swinger parties and a couple dates with other couples. We eventually decided we both liked it better if we had our own play friends and we played separately from each other, i.e. not same room playing. She would go out with a friend one night and I might go out another night. Initially, it was just her who was going out, but I could tell it was starting to bother her that I wasn't doing the same, so I made a couple new FWBs. During all of this, I secretly was hoping that she would have a few experiences and realize in the end she would just want me, but it was not the case. Also, I found that on the few times I would go out with my FWBs, I wasn't really enjoying myself. Shortly after this, I decided that I was going to stop swinging and it would just be something she would do. Our rules, in case anyone was curious: no sleeping over. Honesty: each partner will know ahead of time if there are plans to play with someone else. Just sex, not looking for polyamorous relationships. Must use protection. We take care of each other's needs before our friends, meaning we shouldn't be playing with friends more than we are playing with each other. 3 years later. Now, 3 years later, we have gone through several long periods of time where she has no desire to swing. Those times have been great while they lasted, but as of a few weeks ago, she has found a new FWB. They are actually together right now in our home, kids are at school, and I'm sitting here at work trying to figure out how I can keep doing this. I want her to be happy, but I want to be happy too. To my wife's credit, during this whole time she was always super open with me. Anytime she found a new friend, she told me right away. She would tell me up front if she was trying to make plans to play. I also was very open with her about my feelings through all of this, that I wasn't enjoying it like I thought I would. That I was having some jealousy issues, especially during the time they were together and I was sitting at home with my thoughts, or at work with my thoughts, like I am right now. We talked multiple times about this, but in the end it came back to her wanting to do this to be happy. I know that if I demand she stop, she's just going to leave again. I'm not sure what the best path is at this point. As I mentioned above, we do have an open line of communication about everything. She's just not willing to give it up. I want to be happy, but I don't want to lose her, both for my sake and for the kids. Looking for some suggestions, as I can't continue to sit here and cry at work like a dope. Edit: some are pointing out correctly that although we started this off as swinging and going to swingers parties, it evolved into an open relationship. My apologies if I posted this in the wrong sub. I couldn't find an active sub that seemed more appropriate. TLDR: started swinging to save our marriage, 3 years later and I'm miserable. Update: 2 weeks later. I have had a handful of requests for an update and a lot has happened. My wife left me on Tuesday. Based on all the advice I received here, I had another talk with my wife and poured my heart out to her about how I am truly feeling in regards to the open relationship. Most of the things I said were things I've said before, but I made it much clearer that I'm having major issues with this and not just minor annoyances. I told her I was not ready to call it quits on the marriage though. After all, we have been together 10 years and have 5 kids together, and I do still love her very much. Long story short, she refused to be open to discuss any compromises and also refused to go to counseling. A couple days after this conversation, she told me she wanted out. That she hasn't been in love with me for a long time and that the only reason she was still with me was because the swinging made it manageable for her to say. She said a lot more also, most of it hurtful, but I think I've expressed her point pretty clearly and don't need to go into excruciating detail. Now I know what some of you are thinking, this is exactly what I needed. I needed to be out of this toxic relationship. Even though I know this is true, god damn it, this hurts. Have spent all week crying, went to counseling by myself. I know it's for the best, but I keep thinking about all the years we've been together. Remembering the old times, our first date, when I proposed, the birth of our first daughter. God damn it, this sucks. To top all of this off, she tells me today, well, I'd still be interested in being play friends with you, we can have some fun occasionally. Fuck no. I'm rambling now, so I'll wrap it up. I know in the end I will be in a better place, but it's hard to see how just yet. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice. And yes, I realize at this point, this is probably more appropriate in relationships due to the breakup and such, but I figured I started this here in her / swinging and wanted to finish it here. TLDR, my wife left me. He, 42M, is so jealous of our kids and it's starting to scare me, 35F. Is this family and marriage even savable? My husband, 42M, and I, 35F, tried for so long to have our boys and girl. Due to a health issue my husband suffered, he developed fertility issues and we had to get medical assistance to be able to have our children, because if we didn't he'd probably never have kids. So we went through fertility treatment. He desperately wanted his own biological children and we spent a fortune just to bring them into the world, and now he's jealous and distant with them? He's constantly in competition with his own infant children. If I hold the children he gets frustrated. Anytime they take my attention away he gets completely pissy. He's always in a foul mood, irritable and just downright nasty. I don't understand it. Why is he like this? Our children are barely 6 months and they won't stop crying every time he's near. I feel like they can sense his negativity. I tried talking to him. I've suggested he take interest in the kids and spend more time with us as a family. I know it can sometimes take a little longer for parents to bond with their children, but this is downright scary to experience. He's full of jealousy and envy. He sees our children as competition to my time and affections. A few times now he has made comments about feeling frustrated that I still breastfeed our children. The thing is, we mix feed, so he has had ample opportunity to feed them and he just doesn't. He also said that this, meaning our life and our marriage after children, wasn't what he thought it would be like. I mean, what did he expect? A singular baby cries and 3 of them cry a lot. We'd been together for 8 years and married for 7 years. He wanted these children. He pushed for them, and now this. I never thought this would ever be me. I am scared. I am scared for my children. I have tried talking to him, but he just brushes me off. I've suggested counseling. He refuses. He tells me it's all in my head. I want to save this marriage, but I am scared I won't be able to, and maybe it's not worth saving. He comes home later every day. He avoids us on the weekends and any time he is off. I'm not ashamed to say that I went through his phone and there are a lot of flirtatious texts between him and a Jessica. I don't think anything has happened between them, but it sure looks like they are building up to it. I haven't said anything because I'm afraid. Where do I go with 3 children, with no money and no family that can help me? I haven't worked in 2 years and I've spent all my savings on having these children. My mind is in a complete meltdown. I can't sleep, I can't think, and I'm always exhausted. What the hell happened? Is this him now forever? Edit, some of you are some real evil bastards. Stop blaming me for him mistreating me. I do not deserve to be treated this way, and neither do my kids. Stop messaging me evil things. Update. Thank you to the person who said I should watch his interactions with my babies more closely and frequently. Not even hours after I posted here asking for advice, I caught him pinching my son. While I was scrolling on here and replying to people, I decided to check my baby monitor, and I watched my husband enter our children's room and insult them in a hushed and whispery tone. I couldn't make out much of what he was saying, but he was without a doubt telling them that he hated them and wished them dead. Then he pinched my son, and my baby boy didn't even cry, which made me think he's done this many times before. It all happened so fast, and by the time I could make sense of what was happening on the monitor, he was already walking down the hallway and down the stairs. At the same time, I had leapt off the sofa and pretty much tackled him as he came off the stairs. We got into a physical and verbal altercation. We fought, argued, and shouted for hours. I guess the police were called by the neighbors, because the next thing I know, the police are banging on my door. I explained the situation to the police, and the officers said that they could not prove that my baby was harmed since he didn't have a bruise and my baby monitor was only on live feed and not simultaneously recording. Eventually, they got my husband to agree to pack a bag and leave. He left reluctantly. He has since been blowing up my phone begging for forgiveness, talking about how he's been depressed and stressed by the babies, and that his anxiety and jealousy got the best of him. I just responded once telling him to go fuck himself. I've also been in contact with a lawyer, and she's advised me to leave him unblocked in case he further incriminates himself. I don't even recognize who this man is. Where did this all come from? How did this happen? Has any other parent experienced this? How did you handle this? Before y'all start jumping down my throat, I am absolutely getting a divorce, and I will do everything in my power to get full custody. I did take my children to our family doctor, and they are in good health, and there are no other signs of abuse. I've filled a report with the police, and my lawyer is dealing with it. I'm also about to start the process of divorce. Update the monitor to one that records. I've set the monitor up to record now. I've also ordered a home security system and will be installing it real soon. On what OOP is doing to protect them. I'm doing everything I can to protect them. This all happened a few days ago, but I am in the process of getting a temporary restraining order. My lawyer is handling it, and I understand it takes some time to actually get one, and in the meantime I've been advised that I can just deny him visitation until he gets a judgment from the courts that forces me to grant him access to my babies, but that takes time. So in the meantime, he can't force me or my babies to see him. I've recorded every call and saved every text. Literally documenting everything. Thankfully, he's saying and texting a goldmine of incriminating things that I hope would be sufficient information for a judge to give me and my babies a restraining/protective order, and for family court to grant me primary and sole custody. Did you tell him you saw the pinch? Yes. He at first told me I was imagining things. Then switched to saying he was just frustrated our son wouldn't go to sleep. Then he started saying that he was angry that our son was interrupting our personal time and that he was doing it on purpose because the other babies were asleep, so why wasn't he? Honestly, nothing he says makes sense to me. Like my baby boy was just laying there sleepy and he would have fallen back to sleep by himself. That bastard actually woke him up with his pinching and insults. He says he went in their room to check up on them, and I call bullshit on that he went in there to torment my children. Who in their right mind whispers death to 2 sleeping babies and another half asleep baby? Did he tell you that over phone or text? This was on a call which I've recorded.